And no, Clayton will be 30 minutes late tonight.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance for anyone that would like to do that?
Aww.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, they spew steam. The water's actually really hot. Oh, that's the strapping on good. Turn down the boilers.
Okay. Does anybody want us to turn down the boilers? Are we okay? Okay. All right. It is 7:02 p.m. and this is a regular meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees on December 12th, 2022. And I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Cranker, who is not here with us tonight. Trustee Harper. Here. Trustee Bierman.
Here.
Trustee George.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Here.
Mayor Furman.
Here. Great. All right. Do we have any staff or board revisions to this evening's agenda?
No, we do not.
Fantastic. All right, then we will move along to public comment. Do we have any in-person public comment? We do not have any in-person public comment, so we'll look to Zoom. If you're on Zoom, click the raise hand button and we can promote you to panelist. All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close public comment and move along to next item on our agenda, which is new business item 4A, resolution 2022-26, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to refuse fund.
And I'd like to introduce this one. This resolution addresses our deficit in our refuse fund. For at least the last 5 years, the refuse fund has operated on a deficit. We're not recovering our costs for our services that we are contracting, and this deficit is anticipated to grow with the recent increase of 7.9% in contracted waste services. So this fund transfer will bring the refuse fund in balance for 2022, but future solutions could include reabsorbing the refuse fund into the general fund, as well as increasing rates. So I'll be asking to discuss the sustainability of the refuse fund in a later meeting, but this is kind of a stop fix to get the refuse fund back to a zero balance.
Great, thank you very much. Does that make sense to all the trustees?
It does.
Any questions or comments? Would someone like to make a motion to approve resolution 2022-26, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to the refuse fund? So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Yeah. Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes. Back to the front of the packet.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Fantastic. Next item on our agenda is new business item 4B, resolution 2022-27, resolution adopting a 2022 supplemental budget.
And I can introduce this one as well. This is being presented because we spent more money than we budgeted to spend in the outlying funds. The expenditures were offset by revenue, but per state statute and for our auditors, we are required to submit a resolution outlining the overages. Some of these overages include a grant that we received and spent with MSOB, as well as the purchase of the Zunoni property, and there's one more. And the expenditures in Columbine Park.
Great, it's a little bit of a hard time.
Now we
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
colors off. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a quick pause. We have a lot of noise coming from our boilers, so we're gonna turn those off and then resume.
The old school ones, you just feel off and then, but then all the other ones show even harder. You know, it keeps going until it sounds like a bomb is gonna explode.
Mhm.
Page 5.
It's super special.
This is special.
I forgot it. I left it on the.
Yeah, good thinking. Okay, so,
We should hold on discussion until those guys get back, I think.
yeah.
Should be quieting down soon.
Fantastic. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Okay, back to our 2022 supplemental budget resolution. Any questions or comments? And for the clarification of anyone listening, none of these things are surprises. They were included in the draft budgets. And we've been talking about them for a couple months now.
Yeah, it's been, most of this stuff has been reviewed in every meeting for the past several meetings, but yeah.
Okay, if there's no discussion, would someone like to make a motion to approve resolution 2022-27, a resolution adopting a 2022 supplemental budget?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman. Yes. George.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes,
Mayor Furman.
Yeah,
Motion passes 6-1.
thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is new business item 4C, resolution 2022-28, a resolution adopting the 2023 budget. The big one.
Yeah, and this is the final version of the 2023 budget. The budget narrative includes an explanation of the changes and where our money's spent. I have also updated the budget narrative to include all of our sales tax for 2022. The original packet that went out had it only to August, and that has now been updated. There's also at the end of the budget, there are 3 public comments that I received during public comment time on the budget regarding hockey rinks.
Thank you, Gloria. Any trustee questions, comments, discussion? I'd like to just take a moment and talk about how big of an improvement this version of our budget is relative to versions we've seen in years past. The budgets in the past have been great, but this one is broken out in ways that I find to be digestible by regular people. I really like the charts and the tables in it, which make it easy to see where money is going and how things are allocated. I thought it was particularly great to see the table showing how the master plan goals interacted with the strategies that we're implementing or have teed up to implement. And putting this together is a heroic task. And I just want to thank staff for doing such a great job on this.
Yeah, I would second that. And especially the master plan goal color coding with the budget line items, so you can see exactly which of our goals the budget line item is going to. Really strong work, you guys. Thank you.
and that's especially impressive because the master plan was just adopted at the time that this budget began in its infancy. So those 2 things have sort of been happening simultaneously. I was just gonna make one comment on kind of a little thing of the budget, which is I know that we received some comments regarding kind of input on the budget and how we allocate funds to different things in the community. And I think something that was different this year is the community engagement on the budgeting process, where people were able to come in and spend town bucks on capital improvement projects and kind of different input topics. And I think that seemed really successful, and it seems like going forward, that's something we can continue to pursue and improve on. And so if there are people who have made comments about the budget sort of wanting something in or something out or looking to tweak it, I think I want to just acknowledge that we received those comments and that it's something we can account for, I think, in the next year's budget.
Well, great. If there aren't any other comments or questions, would someone like to make a motion to approve resolution 2022-29, a resolution, 2022-28, a resolution adopting the 2023 budget?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Yes. Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas and 1 absent.
Thank you. Well, congratulations, Gloria. Thanks so much for putting that together.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate those comments.
All right, next item on our agenda is new business item 4D, resolution 2022-29, a resolution appropriating sums in the 2023 budget.
And this is a procedural resolution required by the state and for our auditors, and basically breaks out the adoption of the budget into the funds that the money will be allocated to.
Fantastic. Any comments, questions, or discussion?
Now I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-29, a resolution appropriating sums of money to the several offices, departments, boards, and other spending agencies of the town of Silverton, Colorado, in the amounts and for the purposes set forth herein for the fiscal year 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Yes. Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, new business item 4E, resolution 2022-30, a resolution certifying mill levies for 2023.
And property tax is expected to go down slightly for various reasons that I have outlined in your memo. And this is also a procedural resolution. It's not like we can get rid of the mill levy on property tax. We kind of have to approve it.
Yeah.
This came up a couple of months ago, and I had questions about why the property taxes are going down. And I just want to thank San Juan County Assessor Kim Buck for providing a really thorough and great explanation of what's going on and why things are moving. And so thank you so much for that analysis.
And in that explanation, it looks like in the future, because of all the building, we could probably see that number go up, but right now it's, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-30, resolution to certify and levy for 2023 mill levies for the general fund of the town of Silverton, Colorado.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item of new business, item 4F, resolution 2022-31, a resolution appropriating all lodging and camping fees for 2023.
And I'll introduce this one again, as these are the fees collected by our lodging fees. for the RV parks, hotels, and vacation rentals. And then they offset the cost of our visitor center operation, guest experience, including facilities, parks and rec, and events.
Great. And somewhat on a mini tangent, related to this is that these fees can now be paid online, which is pretty awesome. Thank you, Matt, for figuring out how to do that.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-31, a resolution appropriating all lodging and camping fees for 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to new business item 4G, resolution 2022-32, a resolution adopting parameters for future capital outlay.
So upon the direction of the community and the board, the future capital outlay in this resolution will have a designation to be used to plan and construct a perimeter trail and focusing on the Animas River Trail. Staff has begun a 5-year plan that will be presented in January with possible funding options. And there's currently $25,000 budgeted in the fund, and we are budgeting $25,000 to contribute to that in 2023.
Thank you. This one's pretty cool because like the town buck voting process you talked about before, like these two projects were just, you know, significantly more supported than the other ones in terms of numbers. And so it's cool to see this be like a direct reflection of community involvement.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2022-32, a resolution adopting parameters for future capital outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you very much. All right. Next item of new business is 4H, the 2023 Town County Governmental Services Agreement.
And so Willie and I worked on this agreement with the amendment to the shared planner, since we now have our own planner. But other than that change, it remains the same. The county used to contribute to the refuse fund, but since we now charge all county residents for landfill, the county no longer contributes directly.
Great. Any questions, comments, or discussion on this intergovernmental agreement?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 Town of Silverton, San Juan County Governmental Service Agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item of new business for I, 2023 Town County Law Enforcement Agreement.
And so this contract is basically the same as 2022 and previous years. After talking to Willie, he stated that we should see a reimbursement because they did not hire a deputy last year. Both the sheriff and Willie are aware that I would like to renegotiate this contract soon. Unfortunately, I ran out of capacity to do so this year, but that is something that we are currently talking about.
Did you guys catch all of that?
Yeah, I assume that it'll take more time to renegotiate than, you know, then it's gonna, well, we have to get this agreement passed for this year, so we'll have to negotiate for the following year.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 Town County Law Enforcement Agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to the next item of new business item 4J, resolution 2022-33, a resolution announcing public notice location.
So this one is just one of those procedural annual resolutions. This is just keeping the posting place to be the window of the front door as we have had it before. It's by statute, we got to pass this resolution every year.
Have we received any criticism of this process or? Okay, cool.
Not to my knowledge.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-33, a resolution designating a public place for posting meeting notices for the 2023 calendar year.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Firman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item of new business 4K, resolution 2022-34, a resolution adopting the 2023 fee schedule.
This is another one of those annual things. We have had a few changes to our fee schedule. If you check your meeting packets, there's 2 different versions of the 2023 fee schedule. There's one is color coded with the changes. And that's going to be more of the published form. I figured I'd include the one with all the color coded changes just to make it easier for people to see what's changed, what hasn't. Most of the changes, there's a few things that are pointing out policies that we need to back just to say that say we need to have a resolution to say that it goes to the fee schedule, like the document charges. And then other ones like the liquor license fees for local licensing, those are actually set by Colorado state statute. And so those are there because the state tells us to.
And again, just clearing it the way this is, compared to a few years ago, the way we can see the changes and the way it's color coded makes it a lot easier for us to go through it.
And that it's all in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything all in one.
Actually find it.
Yeah, just that.
So really nice work.
Yeah, a lot of time went into this last year or two. So thank you. Are you happy with everything in here in terms of the fees being proportionate to the service performed or?
Yeah, the increases are like the public sports rentals, which goes along with just the inflation and like increase in both staff time charges as well as increase in gas prices. Most other things we only increased if we need to increase it one way. Otherwise, it's more of just establishing a codified fee that wasn't there before.
Got it. Another mini tangent. The parking fine for parking on the snow route declares $25, which seems super reasonable. Which side are we supposed to park on tonight? I read there was a period and it was pretty confusing.
So park on the odd side of the street, no parking on green, no parking there. So if your address is an odd side of the street, you're safe. If you're even side of the street,
Move your car.
move your car. You have until midnight.
Okay.
Perfect.
Park on the odd side tonight.
Nice. Had that same question.
Our phone system, when you do call in, you can press option 5 to get the current snow route information.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments on this fee schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-34, resolution adopting the 2023 fee schedule.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis. Yes. Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
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 Mayor Firman.
Yes.
Motion passes 68.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to our last item of new business. New business item 4L, Senior Center MOU.
And Todd's not here to present on this, so I'm just going to touch on it. We're proposing that we give them another 12-month extension on their arrangement at the senior center, of use of the senior center in this MOU. And there's a memo included in your packet that outlines some of the parameters of the MOU as well, if you have any questions.
Any comments or questions? Feedback?
Seems like a good thing to continue to support. Kind of a,
Yeah, the senior center seems really active and lively and an important part of the community. And I think it's important that the town does support as much as possible.
So you're looking for direction to approve the MOU?
Yeah, and it could just be staff direction. It doesn't need to be a formal vote.
Okay. It sounds like everybody's on board. Any objections to that direction? Okay, no objections.
Okay.
Thank you.
Direction given. Yeah, thank you. All right. Moving quickly, cooking with fire. That's great. We're on to number 5 on the agenda, approval of the consent agenda items.
And I just want to point out that it is actually the October sales tax chart is included in your packet. I think it says September. And we are $257,109 over projected 2022 budget in sales tax.
Well, that's nice.
yeah.
I would like to point out as well, I do have 2 special event applications for the Flying Sled Dog Race hosted by Lynn Nicole and the Silverton Ski Race hosted by Sally Barney.
Silverton ski team.
Silverton Ski. Thank you again, Sally, for submitting that application. Both of them are going to be the weekend of 14th in 2023. There is a slight deviation to the sled dog race. We have put a map in the packet. It is going to be going from 9th Street up to 12th Street on Mineral Street. So we will be hopefully closing that off with volunteers and marshals for that race. And we will have a road crossing available for residents that are impacted. I'm excited. I actually get to sit on my front porch and watch the dogs race by. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if now's the time, but if I can add on to that, if anybody out in the community wants to volunteer, they're still looking for more volunteers. I know that we've gotten together quite a few from the ambulance service, but anybody else interested? Or I assume they still need more, or they could use more.
They can use as many people as are willing to.
Perfect. Yeah, I know we're trying to send a contingent over, but the more the merrier.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome to see the ski team. The school race. Nice.
Yeah, that'll be a fun race and it's open to the whole community. So it's free and anyone, you don't have to be like a racer. Or, you know, it's an open event. It's supposed to be fun.
We'll add on one more thing. Thanks to Sally Barney putting on the event previously, I learned how to ski a whole lot better.
Oh my gosh, Nathan, that's awesome.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Here, or yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Farrell.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, item 6, staff reports.
And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a staff report in, but I just want to say I'm incredibly grateful for my competent staff. I've had some medical issues these last couple of weeks, and They have just really pulled through and will continue to do so in the next couple months while I recover. The good news is I'm going to spend down some of my PTO. And then the weather and staff are working really hard to get Kendall's area ready to open. So that announcement will be coming soon. We just want to make sure that we have a really good base.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Any questions by the trustees on any of the staff reports?
No.
I guess just with that real quick with the prep of Kendall, any thought, any idea when they'll start grooming for the cross country skiing too?
Oh, great question.
Yeah, and they're determining that as well. I think they're going to rent a snowmobile and kind of see if they can right now.
Okay, great.
But soon, very soon.
Awesome.
And then how will that be noticed or posted to the community once?
I
Sounds like
answer
Nathan.
that before I run out. We currently are a grooming Kindle course right now with the snowmobile and the groom. The guys are working diligently on that. Any announcements will be posted on the Kindle Facebook page, Town of Silverton website, and in the newspaper as well once we get the final grooming for the Nordic trails done. It does have to be completed before January 14th. That's the sled dog course as well. So I'll have that all noticed all at once as soon as I get the information.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Any other questions on staff reports? Okay, trustee reports. Should we have like a 2-hour discussion about something at this stage of the?
Yes, definitely. It's great to be home.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
Back in town.
Bringing snow with you.
It's like the most beautiful way to enter the little village at this time of year. Yeah, it's awesome. And I was gonna say, I am gonna try and I'll be at the Coffee Bear on December 19th at 8:30. So if people have comments or want to connect or just have a conversation in person, that'll be December 19th, Monday.
A week from today.
A week from today.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So now we'll move on to continued business. And the first item we have is the affordable housing proposal review and funding options. And I believe we have Anthony Edwards here to help walk through those.
I'm going to sit down if that's okay. I'm not sure if I'll need a lot of time, but I think it'll be easier for me to look at my. So on Gloria, I don't know if you want to tip this off or you just want me to get started.
I can totally kick this off. So there's a memo in your packet with the proposals and the original RFP. The review committee recommends contracting with Colorado Building Systems. And in there is a price for the down payment that we are requesting tonight. And this down payment could be used for grant match requirements as well as secure a unit for the town to rent out and reduce the cost of the homes. There's also a draft application in your packet as well. This is the draft and we should have the final version out in probably by the end of next week, by the holidays. And the goal is to start getting people qualified and purchase the townhomes in late 2023. Anthony and I are working on funding, including 2 grants and financing for lease purchase that would be potentially paid off by the end of that year when all the units are sold. And so tonight we're really asking the trustees to approve the review committee's recommendation along with the associated down payment. And then I'm going to kick it to Anthony for any questions.
Sure. I think so. We're just to add on to that. We're working on an application right now that that Gloria's provided some feedback on. Beth Kramer has also looked at it. We hope to have that out in the next probably 2 weeks. It could be sooner. We'd like to have it by Friday, but we don't want to make any promises right now. I'm just working out a couple of details on that, just so the trustees know that application is for a priority list in the bill. It's not necessarily for guarantee, so it has what they need to have and the AMI tables, so they understand where those are. And then we're going to work on identifying where people don't fall within the AMI. I think that's probably something we need to talk about with the Sononi property that we'll be working on in the spring and then the summer. And then hopefully, I mean, in an ideal world, we'd be able to get a grant for infrastructure for that as well. I'm just wanting you to have the whole picture of what's going on. That window of the AMI is difficult, as I think we've all talked about before. And so we're really focused in on that AMI and how to bring the price down. There's a couple of different options we have. We could sell a couple of the units at market rate and basically help pay for defer that what I call the gap between the AMI and the cost. We're trying to steer clear of that. There's some different ways we may do that, and we'll talk about more at a different time.
For anyone who's watching that wasn't watching our October 3rd meeting, would you be able to do like a 45-second super high level overview of like where this property is, how many units the town's proposing to build, the goal for this, and like a rough idea of the overall timeline? Sure. Like a really like broad stroke.
So our goal of the timeline was to have units that people would have been next fall or by this time next year. That's the main goal. Those people would be in the 80% AMI. We're working on those numbers with what's already out there. That may be higher. I don't want to make any promises right now. And in regards to those, if you have been out to the Anvil development, you drive in, there's a center area where they've started building, and then there's a lot of development off to the right in the homes. That center area, there would be two duplexes on one end and two duplexes on the other. So there'd be 4 units on each end. And then there would be another 2 units across on what is the east side of the development. So and there would be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom units.
And 10 units in total?
10 units in total is what that's what we're putting the down payment on developing, doing it all at once and saving those time and the costs, rather than trying to do them piecemeal. And we believe there'll be a demand there. And even if there's not directly, we think that there are options that we can work with those who meet the criteria, and that it'll work for the town as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that there will be demand.
Yeah. I feel that there's going to be a demand for above that window of 120. And I think we're going to need to talk about that after the holiday.
Yeah.
And what we do and how we think about how developing the Sononi property or somewhere else. I mean, we need to bring some solutions to town. Or some options.
So you indicated, Anthony, that the application is sort of in the works. It's not available yet.
No, I think we may have what I would call a draft application that we may try to, like, the people that are really chomping. So we wouldn't give anybody who hasn't contacted it. We wouldn't go out, but if we did that, we may let them know what some of the criteria are, because I know some people are ready to get on it. I mean, like homeowners, and think the administrator's told Gloria's told individuals that, you know, you're going to need to have a homeowner's buyer's class, and you may want to go ahead and get that. I think identifying what you're eligible for and things such as, you know, trying to decrease your liabilities on your credit report to the extent you can. Those are things that people can do now that are going to help them meet that criteria to get on the priority.
Okay. For people with questions about those things and how they can find them or enroll, should those questions be directed to you or Beth or both? Or
no, they can direct those questions to me. You can give them to housing@silverton.co.us. Again, that's housing@silverton.co.us. And I've been responding to people. Sometimes it may be a few days. I'm really hoping to get this application out and maybe some FAQs to put on the website and then send it to you all, and then you'll have it and let people know too. We're just going to have a large gap. It's really clear to me right now between the 120 and above.
Yeah.
And some people are slipping above. We can talk about that more later. Let's get this started, and then that's the area that we need to focus on, or along with the others, but that we really need to figure out.
And I thought I saw in the packet, Anthony, that there's sort of in the works, a plan to engage with the community and provide additional information. That list that you just went through was sort of one of my questions about, you know, what can people do to become as highly qualified leading up to it, but then also, can you speak to that?
Sure. I think what probably we need to have is sometime in January or February, we can talk about the best time, and your thoughts right now are welcome as well. But sometime in January or February, have kind of a work, I don't want to call it a work session. I really want to call it like a community meet and greet
Hangout
thing. Yeah, that's probably the right word. And talk about what this project is, who it serves. And we realize that there might be more and need or more demand than supply here. We also to discuss what the gap going above 120 or even maybe 100 AMI and above, and what programs there are for everybody that's going to get a home. Though these ideas, not necessarily the home buyers, depending on what kind of lending options you're going to have, or go for, right, and qualify for, but having your, I'm thinking something of the nature of how to get your credit and to up your eligibility and the amount. I mean, you may be able to up your amount, but you may not want to take on that payment. Our real issue right now on the periphery of all this is interest rates have gone up quite a bit, and it's tricky right now. And so we're going to be looking for, particularly for the people that can qualify, even if it's above 120 AMI, let them know about the programs, whether it be through USDA, because we are adjacent to the Forest Service, and some of those programs for rural development and rural programs for housing.
Yeah, USDA is.
Yeah.
We're eligible for that. And
yeah.
And hopefully, I mean,
we are, but like also individuals find
that, yeah, that's,
they want to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
But hopefully also the interest rates will level out, at least it's, yeah. Like this isn't look that say that hopefully it may level out over the next year, but we'll see.
Yeah, we were just at a really sweet spot for a while which was a nice spot for getting people into affordable housing. It's not in that space. So we need to figure out what options people have. And I think we can. But back to the hangout, provide as much information to everyone in the community, not just 80% AMI of what's out there. And ideally we would be able to have some people from the different programs here as well. Even if it was on Zoom, just something to present to people and know what's available for who.
Mm-hmm.
Regards to this request right now, are there questions about that? Are there any comments? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a couple like financial related questions. So I understand there's a handful of different ways we can fund the remaining balance due after the down payment. But like, is there risk involved there? Are we crossing our fingers that anything's going to line up that may not? Can we afford whatever the worst case scenario is in terms of making the remaining payments?
So,
you know, if a grant doesn't come through.
Yeah. So Lori and I have talked about this. There's a few different ways that we can go forward. One of the ways is to utilize, and we're not asking you to do this tonight. The money could be utilized, the first down could be utilized for building some of the units, right? And then those could be rented for money coming in. We could sell one or two at market rate units. I'm talking about one unit, not one duplex. Well, so one or two units, okay? And then use that to offset the other. There's things we don't want to do. We really would like all of these to be for affordable housing or rental, and that's what we're going to shoot for, and we're going to do everything we can. We feel, and I don't want to put words into Gloria's mouth, but we feel that this is the biggest issue in the community right now. And if we had to sacrifice 2 to get 8 units online for people in our community right now, then that's what we're going to have to do. That's what we would have to do. But we're going to do everything we can to mitigate that right now in between. So that's, I mean, this money that we're putting in right now is an investment into these. It's is the thought of where the $500,000's going right now. If you're talking about taking on the whole, we've figured out I mean, that money going in right now, if the town can commit that money to housing, right? And that money would not be subsidizing a private house, just so you know, it would be for apartments or for the building altogether. But yeah, there's a couple of different ways. There's just some that are more painful than others. And if you're asking about liability, I mean, interest rates, if we go get a loan, they could go up. I mean, there's financial risk, definitely, but it's financial risk investing in what you're talking about. And in the end, you're going to get what the community's asked that we work on. And it'll be, I believe that you'll be able to recoup all that money. I don't see how you wouldn't over time.
But I mean, I guess the broad strokes, like parameter, I'm looking to get comfort on is, once we put the down payment down, is there any scenario where we can't afford the rest and we've kind of forfeited a down payment?
We would do the work. Well, I don't see how that would happen. I mean, the lease purchase, you would do a lease purchase and the land would go to the bank, right? And they would take it under the conditions that it's already on. They're going to have to take it under those conditions. So they would have to meet those conditions too. I mean, I don't think we want to see what they come up with after. I think we would rather, do that, but that's where the scenario would come, that the bank would have the land and they would have to develop it under the conditions that we're under.
Got it. I have one last one.
Okay.
My last question is, the total project cost is a specific number, and I didn't see anywhere in the agreement that talks about cost overruns unless we put in a change order. I didn't see anything about like changing materials costs. Like, are they committed to providing all of this, however long it takes, at this price, or is there any?
They are technically, but what I was going to bring up tonight is I would like the board to approve Gloria engaging with them to put,
like a real contract
to get more detailed on all of that, so we can go over it. Probably we'd have Clay as well, but they need to know that we're in those negotiations right now to make a commitment to do everything they can to have homes ready by the fall of next year. There's a whole set of things they have to go through. And so they're wanting to know that there's a commitment that when I say a commitment, I mean that we're moving forward in good faith, and that Gloria can, or whoever you want to sign this, can go ahead and this money is allocated for this, and we can get those details and get this out by January, the first week in January, assuming that we get that contract that's agreeable. I'm sure that we'll run that by Clay as well.
So this would not be a contract we would see before approval based on the timeline, because our next meeting is January 9th.
That's right.
Okay, so that's why you need approval tonight.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, is trying to go ahead and,
That's a good thing. Our staff's awesome. Sorry.
So Anthony, you kind of referred to this earlier about, in terms of like looking at how we are funding and funding in this phase development framework, that we're governed on this project by grants and that this affordable housing project has parameters to it that we have signed up for based on the grants that are supporting the project.
Yeah, that have already been in.
They're in place.
They're in place. There are from agreements and DOLA requirements, historic, long-term and newer requirements. There are some conflicts that we've already worked out, like there's not an issue with those, okay? And so that property, we have some leeway, like I was talking about earlier, that we could sell some at market if that's what we have to do. And these are priced in a range that I've talked to some realtors and they've informed me that, yeah, that price range, it'd be a sweet spot for them. And we could, we can make money and basically help offset the cost if we have to. But the state has told us in a meeting that we had that they would really be interested in asking for more money than we had in the grant that they're talking.
Rather than that approach.
Right.
Okay, and then kind of to follow up with that, once the units are developed, once we have like holes in the ground and walls are built, to what extent does the town retain control over the affordability of the units? And like, how do we guard against they're affordable for 3 years, or they're affordable for 5, or they're affordable for 10? How do we get this into perpetuity so that 50 years from now, we haven't sold out everything?
So we talked to the state about that. There's a couple of different ways. There could be a land lease type of option where people own their structure, but they don't actually own the land. There could be a straight deed restriction. And our thought was that we would explore how this all unfolds and if the state is going to provide more under a certain scenario, and we don't think that it will actually impede the individuals who are getting a loan from getting a loan, right? That's what we're working on, that we'll look at all those variables and see what looks best, and for both funding and then.
I'm interested in understanding that more because.
You will. I mean, it'll be brought to your attention. Yeah, it'll be, we want to be able to articulate when we bring those different options to you, pluses and minuses of each.
And I think.
Have a recommendation, but it'll be up to you how you want to do this, because we're trying to keep these available for the next century.
Right. And for
rather
people.
than it, rather than it being, bought under this program and then basically become speculative and selling it for 5 times the cost. And
once you come out from under the
deed restriction.
Right.
Yeah. And so when we did it before with Colorado Housing Inc., it was for the benefit of Colorado Housing Inc. The town and county did not choose to say for the benefit of the people. And it should have been also for both. And when Colorado Housing Inc. went dissolved, that's what it dissolved, the benefit. There's nobody who would have known that was going to happen.
Right.
And that doesn't happen often. Trust me.
And that's not to say that I don't think people that buy a house should get equity out of it either. Like, we just need to find
that's what
would be a sweet spot where
we want to make sure that people can get a loan, and they can also sell to another if they move away, or they are in a different bracket and want to move, to a bigger house or a different house, that the next person can come up and they gain some equity out of it. But we also, the benefit that they received keeps it within the pool of what we're trying to achieve.
Right.
And we're looking at it. There's different options. So.
Thanks, Anthony.
I had one, it's going to sound granular, but I promise that I find it relevant. I was reading through kind of the specifications. One of the things I was most curious about was how these were going to be heated, because it's not just about the affordability of buying it, but also ongoing maintenance and utilities.
Yeah,
The only red flag I saw in the whole proposal is that these units come with a Comfort Cove heating system. I have that in my house. I don't use them because they are crazy expensive to use.
Okay.
And so I was just curious if there were other options like gradient in-floor heat or other things that we could explore besides Comfort Cove, because my experience maybe isn't normal, but it's been really, really bad. But
sure.
I don't know what that is.
it's those panels that it's like an electrical panel up on the like corner of the ceiling,
Okay.
and it radiates down. So it doesn't actually bring the room temp up. It just feels like it does.
I think
But
it may work better in new buildings.
Yeah.
But my experience has been with them in old buildings and it just disappears. But
Yeah, I want to say,
an insulation thing, I could be.
I want to say I turned mine on for the first month I lived in my house and the bill was like $600 of electrical and I've never turned them on again.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I'll bring that to their attention, that's an issue. One other thing, there's been some, different, questions about the design. Obviously, it's a general design, but what are the exterior materials? We're going to go back to them and look at the community builders plan and some of the things that they put out.
Nice.
And if anybody has any other thoughts, please forward them on or drop them in the box or whatever. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can I make one observation?
Yeah.
So the co-heaters are effective, but they're directly related to how well the house is insulated. And then the other aspect of this could be if we intend to access solar for these units, that would help offset the cost for the residents as well. I just the industry as a whole is trying to push away from petro and.
Well, I definitely think an electrical heating system makes the most sense for the projects that we're taking on as a town. I just wasn't sure if like a Comfort Cove versus an in-floor heat or something else might be just more
Like possibly more expensive in the build, but more affordable
for the owner.
in the long
Energy
run.
for the long term. And there are some different, I think there's grant opportunities for that as well. I'll look into that, but I'll talk to them about the concern about the Comfort Cove.
I think the kind of like elephant in the room here is that the funds that we allocated, or the funds that are being requested are allocated to the Blair Street grant match. And the reason that this is even on the table is because the Blair Street grant was delayed or they don't plan to announce it this coming year. Is that right, Gloria?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So originally CDOT had put out a call for applications due on November 30th, and we have an application ready to turn in, and they redacted that call and said that they would be announcing it sometime in spring of 2023 now. So our match wouldn't be needed until 2024 if we were to go for that grant for Blair Street.
Yeah, and that money's not needed till 2024 for a grant match, and we can use monies that we have right now to start a project. It goes directly towards the biggest issue in town. I'm all for it.
And at the time that we approved the Blair Street grant match, we included the caveat that should that not happen for some reason, that these funds could be moved over to housing.
Yeah.
Specifically. What else we got?
Yeah, I think it seems like a good fit and a good use of that money with the circumstances.
Okay, so I guess what we're looking for, unless, hey Jim, anything from you?
No, I'm all about it.
Sweet.
And thank you, Anthony, for the overview. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, super awesome.
Yeah.
So we're looking for, did you have a question?
No, a direction or a motion.
We're looking for a motion to enter into the contract to be negotiated with Colorado Building Systems for the build out of 5 modular townhome units. And then we're also looking for a separate motion to expend the $439,160 for the down payment to Colorado Building Systems in 2023. And I don't think you could say so moved since.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to enter into a contract with Colorado Building Systems for the build out of 5 modular townhome units.
Second.
Last page. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Beerman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes,
Mayor Fairman.
Yes.
I know.
Motion to.
It's 1:18.
That's 6 days, 1 absent.
So just,
So much stuff.
good?
But we have one more motion.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's right.
Make a motion to expend $439,160 for a down payment to Colorado Building Systems for 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Beerman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
yes,
Mayor Fairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 68 and absent.
So I know this is easy to say after you just approved what I did, but I know it's been a busy year and I just personally want to thank you all for all the time you put in. I know you've got a lot done and you deserve a break. You get it.
Thank you for all the work on this project.
yeah.
Well, Anthony, this is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of help from Beth as well as Lori on this. It's been a team effort, and Willie.
Yeah.
Bevan, Lucy, and
It sure is satisfying to see like plans put in motion not that long ago coming to fruition.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was at our Cascade team building. We said we would like to have a project being voted on by this time.
Yeah.
And yeah. Can't believe it happened.
Good team.
All right. So moving on to the last substantive item on our agenda at only 8:03 p.m.
Of course, this is the short meeting.
The OHV petition update.
Okay, yeah, so on November 23rd, 2022, a protest was filed against the sufficiency of the October 18th, 2022 petition that would allow the OHV use within the town of Silverton. That protest was due to the form of the petition, not the substance. There's more of a formatting issue. A hearing was held on November 30th, 2022 to determine the sufficiency of the petition. And on the 5th of December, 2022, the protester and petitioner were notified that the hearing officer determined that a petition was not sufficient for form. And as the petition was found as insufficient to do the form, the petition may be recirculated again for The petition may be recirculated again for signatures after the deficiencies are corrected.
So it was, something wasn't filled out right on the form, but we can probably expect to see it again once they fix it. Okay, thank you.
But it shifts the timelines for determining a vote in a special election.
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty much on hold until the corrected petition
Comes
is.
back in, but it won't be on the timeline of the original petition submission.
No, kind of calculate this out, best case scenario, if everything went through very quickly and smoothly, it would have the window for the special election sometime in late April to late or mid-summer.
Okay.
Well, it's almost as if there is no petition today because that petition was rejected. So if they put in a new one, it's kind of like
It starts a new thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to clarify.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on OHV petition? All right. And we will move to our closing public comment. We do not have anyone here in person with us. So if you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment, please click the raise hand button. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We do have a request for executive session pursuant to CRS section 24-64024F for the purposes of discussing a personal matter concerning a public works senior maintenance worker. Let me pull up the script. While we're getting ready for that potential motion, anyone who's on the meeting, we would ask to voluntarily exit Zoom. How this works is we'll hear a motion to enter the executive session. If it passes, then we'll wait for everyone to leave. We'll close this meeting. Then we will reopen the meeting to the public again at the end of the executive session. But the only reason we do that is to actually adjourn the meeting. There won't be any other business conducted. So that's what we're teed up to do. I guess why don't we do the motion and then we can continue to wait. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CRS section 246424F for the purposes of discussing a personal matter concerning a public works senior maintenance worker.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Perman.
Yes.
Motion passes 60 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll just wait.
I finally trust.
We've got two folks that are on Zoom that we would want to see voluntarily exit.
I actually was watching you guys being really cold, and so I decided
Can you promote John to panelist, please?
I would dress warmly.
And if for some reason the two folks, one folk now doesn't leave, we'll just have to close the meeting and start over. Brenna Stevens, if you can hear us, if you would please voluntarily exit the meeting, that would be wonderful.
This person is riveted. They love our meetings.
You can't kick them off.
Yeah, it seems like Zoom should have that function.
Yeah, I'm gone. I think they do. It just messes up the rest of our recording.
Or if we boot her off, then she can never join this link again. And we either need to like come up with a new Zoom meeting link
But
or she
Zoom
just
should
can't
fix
take
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the link for
So-
has a ban and not a kick.
Yeah.
Is it Brenna? Or
Brenna Stevens?
Brenna Stevens, if you could please exit the meeting, we're going to go into executive session.
In one more minute, we'll just have everybody
Yeah, I'll
drop off. And
1 hour.
knew there was going to be a catch.
Yeah.
No.
All right, Gloria, John, Clayton, and Jim. I think we're just going to have to end this meeting and then we'll restart it right away. If you guys can jump back on.